Comedian Mark Curry. Mark Curry was born 1961. He's about 59 years old, and most of you people who don't remember him, but a lot, he grew up, like I said, he grew up in the early 60s, 70s, 80s. So he grew up during the Civil Rights Movement. He grew up during the Black Panther era. He started doing he started becoming a comedian in the 80s. With stand-up comedian. He started doing movies and TV shows in the 90s. He did Hang with Mr. Cooper in 1990, early 90s into the late 90s. The show ended I think 97, and it did pretty successful. He actually in 2000, I think in 2005, 2006, his home caught on fire. A spray can sparked a fire in his home, and it burned his house down in California. And he had over 18% of his body was burned. Mark Curry. And he's also tall. He's 6'6", very tall guy. He was supposed to be a basketball player, but it didn't work out. He just said he sucked at sports. The coach kept picking on him, and they kept picking on him because he couldn't play sports. He was clumsy as a teenager, so he wasn't drafted in the NBA. But he had 18% of his body was burned, all over his body. Mark Curry, and he said he was in a dark place for a long time. And they had to put him in a coma because it was so bad. His whole body was burned. It's like Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was burnt too. Richard Pryor burnt himself, lit himself on fire, and his whole body was burnt up. Almost his whole body was burnt up. But this was different. I think he was sleeping in his home there was a fire. He didn't know. He was in a deep sleep. Couldn't get up. Some people just can't wake themselves up from sleep. And his whole body was burned. His neck down. And he said he was in a dark place, very angry for a long time, and he had a lot of rage. Right now he's doing good. He has $5 million in his net worth. He's going back out doing interviews with people, and he's doing pretty good in life right now. So I'm happy for the guy.